Hi, this is Pastor Dan with Common Ground. We are in a series called Foundations. This is the fourth part of that series, and we've been looking at worldviews. Worldview has to answer four questions about origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. Today we are looking at origin. Specifically, we're looking at the biblical worldview and what it has to say about origin. To do that, we're just going to turn right to the Bible, the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 27, and it states, God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. Now, there are a number of implications for being created in God's image. And by the way, when we say being created in God's image, that doesn't mean just we look like God physically. There's something much deeper and greater to being created in his image than that. So what are some of the implications? I'm going to mention just a few. One, it gives us, all humans, value. And it's an intrinsic value, not based on anything other than that we came from God. It indicates purpose for our lives. God created us for a reason, and God created us in his image for a reason. So we look at what are those reasons, and of course we'd have to dig deeper to really begin to answer some of those things. Being created in God's image differentiates us from the rest of creation. We are the only ones said to have been created in the image of God. It also indicates God's specific design and purpose for making male and female, both in his image. And then it also points to some truths about God, and we need to be careful that we don't make God in our image because he first made us in his image. So what are the truths we can glean about God from this fact he created us in his image? Now, I'm not going into depth on really any of these implications, but I am going to mention two just briefly. So God's image makes us the same, more than externals make us different. Because man judges by the externals, right? We see skin color, hair color, eye color, and we judge by those things. But God's image is something much deeper than mere externals. So let's think through some of this in terms of a very hot issue in America recently, which is racism. Now, racism has always existed. It is not just an American problem, it's a human problem. All nations deal with this. But again, recently in America, it's come to the forefront. It's a very big issue. So another thing that is an issue that rages in the storm of all this is how do we respond to racism? What should our actions be, or what should they not be? And I think that God's word helps us also answer that question of how we respond. So God's word indicates that there is one race, right? He created them male and female, the human race. So who lied and told people that there are multiple races? Where does that come from? If God tells us that we all came from one source, from him, then who lied to us, and why do we believe that there are multiple races? There are, of course, different people groups, different customs, different skin colors, different nationalities, and which have different traditions and customs. But there's only one race, the human race, created in God's image, which is a very unique distinction that separates us from all other species. So, no matter what people group you assign yourself to, no matter what your skin color is, you came from the same source and bear the same distinction as everyone else. You are an image bearer of God. So thus one cannot be a racist unless a lie is believed that you are fundamentally different than another person. You and I are all people, or you and I and all people are fundamentally the same. God's image makes us the same more than externals make us different. Another implication that I mentioned is that we all have value and worth, and we all have the same value and worth. This is true because we're all created in God's image. He did not make some to be less or more in value, but He created us in His image. This alone gives you and I, all people, infinite value. People might derive their value from many things, and they do derive their value from many things. But intrinsically, their value comes from their Creator. So our value is not inherently based on any externals, but rather on what is most true about us, that we are created in God's image. So this is like a piece of art, right? A masterpiece that comes from the artist who is very well known. And his painting or his artwork is worth more than many others just simply because his name is attached to it. We have great value because God's name is attached to us. We're created in His image. And so when we build on this worldview of God's Word, there's no place for racism. We, meaning those who hold to a biblical worldview, view people from a unique perspective of infinite value, and we learn to respond according to that truth. Now, there could be a lot more to be said about this and about the implications of being created in God's image. But this is the biblical worldview as it speaks to origins. And I think it is very powerful, it's very coherent, it aligns well with the rest of what we're going to talk about when we look at meaning, morality, and destiny. So I look forward to sharing some more with you next week as we look at meaning and purpose. We'll see you then.